welcome back to Nappy Hour. I'm so excited that we're back this week. Sorry about last week. Things got super crazy and I wasn't able to record, but I'm happy to be back this week. My name is Dallas, if this is your first time here. Before we go anywhere, make sure you follow me on Instagram as well as subscribe to my YouTube page, which is _DallasRose, just like my IG handle. But this week, we are going to switch it up a little bit. We're not going to do a hair tutorial. Instead, we're going to talk about something that's super important for your hair care regimen, and that is hair porosity. So I'm sure a lot of you all have heard that term thrown around before, but maybe don't know what it means and don't know why we care. So we're going to talk about, one, how we're going to determine our hair porosity, and then once we make that determination, what does it mean? What does that mean about my hair care regimen? What do I need to change? What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to stop doing, such that my hair can be as healthy as possible and I'm giving it the type of moisture that it needs? The first thing that we're going to do is talk about what hair porosity even means. So hair porosity is the ability that your hair has to absorb as well as hold moisture. So if you have low porosity hair, that means that your hair repels moisture. So let's say you are about to shampoo your hair and you have your hair running through the shower and it's taking a really long time for your hair to actually get drenched with the water, then you might have low porosity hair. Whereas on the other hand, high porosity hair does a really good job of absorbing moisture. So your hair gets wet really fast, or if you live in a really humid area, maybe your hair is prone to frizz a lot because your hair is getting that moisture that's in the air into the hair and then it's frizzing. So that's the difference between low and high porosity hair. But now let's talk about how we make the determination of what kind of hair we have in the first place. And to do that, we are going to do, I guess, a bit of an experiment. I kind of feel like I'm about to be back in science class watching Bill Nye the Science Guy. But okay, so what you're gonna need is some kind of vessel that contains water, and you're going to also need a couple strands of your hair. So you see here I just have a few that I took from one of my combs that was just laying around. So water and hair. And what we're going to do is actually put the hair in the water and let it, make sure it's all the way in there, let it sit for about 2 minutes. And we're going to see whether or not the hair sinks to the bottom or if it floats. So if your hair floats, then that means that you have low porosity hair because the water that's in the vessel is not actually permeating to the hair, so it's going to float. Whereas if you have high porosity hair, the hair will sink because the water is permeating through to the hair. One thing that causes the difference between hair porosity is the cuticle that is around the hair. With low porosity hair, the cuticle is tightly closed so the water can't actually get in. And high porosity hair, there's gaps in the cuticle. And a lot of times this is a result of heat damage or just overall damage to the hair. So one way in order to help rectify the issues that you have because of the damage is to do protein treatments. So using a protein treatment if you have high porosity hair can really help. Whereas if you have low porosity hair, you don't necessarily want to use a lot of protein on the hair. Okay, so my 2 minutes is up and let's see what happened. So I don't know if you all can see this here, but my hair actually floats. It did not sink to the bottom. It is still on the top, so that means that I have low porosity hair. So step one, check. And feel free to do that as you're watching the video to see what your hair does. Because now we're gonna talk about, okay, so what? Why do we care about whether or not our hair floats or sinks to the bottom of the jar? Okay, so let's start with low porosity hair. There are two really big things that I wanna cover. The first thing being beware of product buildup. And actually, now that I've checked my hair porosity, this makes a lot of sense. So if you have low porosity hair, remember we talked about that means that it's not going to do as good of a job absorbing the moisture. So a lot of times when you're putting these products on your hair, it's actually just sitting on top. It's not actually permeating through the hair cuticle. So you can get a ton of product buildup because it's just sitting there. So when you have low porosity hair, you want to make sure you wash regularly to get rid of that product buildup. The second really big thing is using heat in order to moisturize. One thing you all know if you watch any of my videos is that I'm really big on deep conditioning. And the thing that I always have to do is make sure I apply some type of heat to my hair so that the hair cuticle opens and the moisture actually can get through to the hair. Another thing you want to do is avoid super heavy products like butters and creams, because once again, all that's going to do is sit on top of your hair. Before I actually checked my hair porosity, I was using a lot of those butters and creams, and I was realizing that I feel like it's not doing anything because if I wet my hair, I can see all of the products still on there. But now that I know my hair porosity, I know that that's the reason why. So I've actually switched over to not even using hair creams at all and just using leave-in conditioners and lighter oils such as jojoba oil, because I feel like it doesn't weigh my hair down as much and it's not just sitting on top. Okay, so for all of my high porosity ladies out there, these are the things that you want to be aware of. If you have high porosity hair, yes, your hair absorbs moisture well. However, it also can lose that moisture a lot at the same time. So basically drying out faster, because we talked about the cuticles on the hair, there's gaps. So the moisture is leaving out of the hair almost as quickly as you're putting it in. So one thing that you actually want to do, unlike the low porosity girls, is use those creams and butters. So a lot of times people use the LOC method, which is leave-in oil and cream. So what that does is you are taking the moisture and putting it on your hair and then sealing it in using that cream to make sure that the moisture is not leaving your hair rapidly and leaving it dry. So really, I think that's the biggest thing for my high porosity sisters out there, making sure that you are sealing the hair. Sometimes people use CO method too, where the oil comes last rather than the cream. Very same idea, making sure that that moisture is sealed into the hair so that you're not losing it, as time goes on. So for low porosity hair, remember using heat when deep conditioning, shampooing regularly to remove buildup, and avoiding very heavy products such as creams and butters so that the product is not building up on the hair. Alternatively, for the high porosity hair, you want to make sure that you are using those creams and butters in order to seal the moisture that you already put in the hair, as well as doing protein treatments every now and again in order to strengthen the hair. So that's hair porosity. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you learned, what you didn't know, what your hair porosity is. I'm super curious to know that, and I love hearing from you all. Until next week, be good. Stay safe out there. I can't wait till we come back next week. I think I'm going to do a new hair tutorial for you all, so look forward to that. Cheers, and see you guys next time.